Hi, this is Chris Wilhelm with Lincoln Mortgage and welcome to my weekly video blog. Today we're going to take a look at the lead response management study. It's pretty interesting and I have all the data here on my left, your right. Great topic for sales meeting. What they did, they went back and did an in-depth study and listened to some of these numbers. They examined 3 years of data across 6 companies that generated responses from web leads as well as phone calls. And actually those calls and leads, everything, 15,000 of them, so pretty impressive. The findings were pretty interesting, and obviously we understand in sales is that, hey, if you get an inquiry, you get a follow-up, and we all know the immediacy of following up is what separates us from our competition. Certainly if you get a phone call and you wait 2 days to call somebody back versus returning that call within 2 to 15 minutes, certainly your success ratio will climb immensely. But part of what's interesting on here, if you're doing some farming or you're doing some canvassing or just cold calling, if people still actually do that, but the areas that they want to focus on here, or they focused on, is letting you know what days work best. Believe it or not, it's Wednesday and Thursday. They seem to be the best days according to the study, where they had the most success of at least of those 15,000 leads that they measured over that time period. Now the hours that the phone calls were made and leads were generated through the web were from 4 to 8. That's when they actually followed up with them. They said it was the most opportune time to catch people, which certainly makes sense because most of the working public is home at that point and they have a little bit more time to speak. So that's not really a surprise. But the more important thing, and I already touched on it, but to come back, this study really resonated with the fact that if you do not follow up with the lead, how much their interest drops off. So again, not preaching to the choir, but I just wanted to share this because I think it's some good stats, and sometimes it's always good to go back to 101 stuff just to make sure to remind you that these are some of the things that you should be doing. All right, some other news for you. I know I've said this for the last 3 weeks. I'm going to continue to say it. FHA MIP. April 18th is the date. It's going from 0.9 to 1.5. We've been trying to tell all of our pre-quals that this MI is going to be jumping up, and I'm sure you are too, but I always like to give a friendly reminder. Here's the graph. Again, it will tell you the impact on your borrower's monthly payment, so it's important they get the news out. The last piece of news, it's kind of a little disappointing and a little sad, but hey, things always come to an end. FHA Commissioner David Stevens announced today that he will be stepping down in mid-April. During his tenure, which has been the last 3.5 years, David's done a great job making sure that the FHA program has not only grown but stabilized from a mortgage insurance premium standpoint, and also was quick to react to market conditions to make sure that the maximum loan amounts actually went up above what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conforming limits were, to ensure that we actually had a product, because remember FHA only requires 3.5% down, that we could utilize. This single-handedly really helped stabilize the marketplace. As we speak today, FHA accounts for 30% of all mortgages, whereas 3 years ago it probably accounted for less than 10%. And that's all under David Stevens' leadership, so we're going to miss him. And let's hope that the next person is as aggressive and making sure that that program continues to grow and serve those who need that product. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next week.